Hello, everybody. I am Jonathan Hunn. Thank you for coming to my page and being interested in joining the new Patriots. I am a father, veteran, former political analyst, and campaign strategist turned business consultant who is fed up. I'm fed up with what's happening in our country in this moment. And I think that a lot of us are desperate for action. We're desperate for something to do. There's only so many posts you can like. There's only so many comments you can make. There's only so many protests you can attend, marches. There's only so many miles you can walk. I think people are desperate for some tangible thing that they can actively do to fight back so that when history tells the story of this moment, they can say, no, I actively fought against it. And the reason that our country is the way that it is today is because of the actions that I took. And I want to provide people with an opportunity to say that and do that because there are more of us than there are of them. Way more of us. And it's not even one sided. This is not a Democrat versus Republican thing. This is an American versus the corporate Confederate thing. What do I mean by corporate Confederate? The Confederacy, the idea of it, fighting for slavery. This is the idea of putting profit over people. That's what the Confederacy was. It was a business decision, a ruthless business decision that had human deprivation at its core, and they were okay with that. And we do see that. We see corporate Confederates when it comes to profit over the environment, profit over health, profit over science, profit over education, profit over research, profit over governance. And now we have reached a stage where it is profit over democracy. And this is the moment where I believe they have pushed the American people too far. The corporations, the corporate elite, the business elite in the South, they created race. Race is a pseudoscience created by the corporate Confederates to divide us. After 1676, there were a group of European Americans and Americans from Africa who fought together to demand better treatment. And from that moment on, those in power decided to create a wedge and they let people from European descent know, hey, you guys are just like us. You're actually not like them and they're not human at all. So I know you're not getting all that you're asking for, but aspire to be like me because you are me. Take great pride in the fact that you're not them. And they have used the European American as like a guard dog. Every time they do something that hurts our economy, they hurt our middle class. We can't buy houses. The economy tanks. Instead of we all of us saying, "Hey, your actions caused this," they have the media and they drum up all this nonsense that it was these other people, these darker people. And sometimes it wasn't darker people. Sometimes it was Italian people. It was Polish people. It was German people. Or it was Japanese people. Right now, it's Latino people. It's always been black people since the inception. It always goes back to that because, again, the darker your skin, the harder it is to actually assimilate to a culture. So it's easy to have a scapegoat that you could physically see. So we got to stop with the pseudoscience of race. We are human beings first, and then we are Americans, and then we are however we identify from there. Mothers, fathers, brothers, sisters, Muslims, Christians. America is a deeply progressive nation. And even those who claim to be conservative on the right are actually really progressive when you think about it. What they all want the ability to have one income to be able to take care of human dignity. Like one income, you should be able to have a wife or a husband, raise a family, and have a home and a car. We think that's a conservative ideal, but it's actually progressive. You're demanding the business class to do what's right, to pay people the right amount, to put those systems in place to allow a reality like that. But even let's think back about the founding of America in and of itself. A group of people who said, we don't want any kings. That's progressive. We're going to fight a war for our own freedom away from monarchy. That is extremely progressive. Now that we have our own country, we're going to create a system of government where the people have a say in their own governance. That is very progressive. Voting, democracy, democratic republic. That is a very progressive idea. We're going to ask everyone to chip in through taxes. All of us are going to chip in. And then that means because we're taxed, we're going to have representation. We all build this country collectively. We're going to be pro-religious freedom. That's progressive. That doesn't happen. Humanity is usually a dominant religion, and that's it. A lot of violence typically ensues from that mindset. But no, America is about we are going to be freedom of religion. Practice whatever you want. That's extremely progressive. But we're going to actually separate the church from the state. Even though we're all deeply religious, we have our own individual religions, we're not going to mix that with the politics because that could get really dark really quickly. That's progressive. We're going to be pro dialect, pro debate. And the only way you can be pro debate is if we're pro intelligence. And the only way we can be pro intelligence is if we're pro education. That is extremely progressive. We're going to use the government to help build the infrastructure. That's progressive. To help educate our people. That's progressive. To give them some form of health care. But what happened along the lines? What happened to our progressive country? We fought a war over the idea that human beings shouldn't be enslaved. That's progressive. And we won. But there's a group of people who still exist. These corporate confederate mindset of power over people still exists, and they want to conserve. What exactly are you trying to conserve in a country that is at its core progressive in its spirit? It wants to push humanity forward to a place where the people can govern themselves. You have the freedom to practice any religion that you want. You keep it out of the politics, and you treat people with dignity and honor and love and respect. And yes, we'll take your huddled masses. We'll take your immigrant, the person that you kicks out. We'll take them in because why not? They're people. And we could build a society with a mixture of people. And that's what America is. To conserve something means that you want to keep something that exists. You want to keep it unchanged. They have this idea of this nation based on pseudoscience of race, where there's this white group and they're just living like Leave It to Beaver. The truth is that reality of America has never existed. You're trying to conserve something that doesn't exist. It's rooted in pseudoscience, in hatred, in fear. And most importantly, these aren't your own thoughts. These are thoughts given to you by corporate confederates who are picking our pocket, both you and mine, because they've convinced so many of us that we are black or white or whatever else. You're a human being. Human beings migrate and then they adapt to the environment and they have adaptations for survival. A lot of earthlings do that. You're just a human being who's adapted to different environments. That's really all it is. We are so alike. Statistically speaking, we're all basically twins. We're all identical. If you get 99.999, if you think about all the systems, the complexity that it takes to create a human being, from every aspect of our brains and our bodily functions and systems and atoms and the molecules and the bone structures and the immunity, we're exactly the same thing. But externally, we have weather adaptations, and a bunch of rich people said that makes us completely different. And people end up believing it. And a lot of harm comes from that illusion. But most importantly, there's a group of people who are being harmed, who are fooled into thinking that by attacking others that don't look like them, that they are somehow being an American or somehow protecting some reality that doesn't exist, when you're really just being used as a guard dog to thwart America and thwart democracy. And it's sad. I don't have a lot of anger in my heart for it. It's just human nature to want to be a part of a group and to want to have exclusivity and to want to have a sense of status. It's natural. But I think there's a lot of status in the idea of being an American. History of humanity. I think there's a lot of status to build a society that is beyond the basic divisions of religion, skin tone. Like to build a society where education and science and debate can flourish. There's a status in that. There's a historical status in that. So again, welcome to New Patriots. Welcome. This is our flag. Being a patriot belongs to us. Being an American, it belongs to us. Americans believe in certain values. We believe in a restricted executive. We believe in checks and balances. We believe in pro-religion, pro-religious freedom. We believe in separation of church and state. We believe in pro-education. We believe in pro-science, pro-research. We believe in pro-truth, pro-debate. If you're anti any of these things, pro-inclusion, pro-diversity, and pro-equity, yes, we are pro these things. If you're anti any of this, then you are not an American in spirit. You've been fooled to be used as a tool to divide all of us. You're a tool. I don't want you to be a tool. And I'm not here to hurt your feelings, but I am here to wake you up. I'm not your enemy. I'm your brother. And quite frankly, the people at the top aren't your enemy either. They're just greedy. I'm not anti-wealth. We're not anti-wealth. We're anti being a jerk. Like, you have a certain amount of money. At the point where you make so much money that you're hurting other human beings, you're hurting the American society, you're hurting the middle class, the very source of your wealth in the first place. That's the point where it's like, okay, you're doing too much. You have $4 billion. Congratulations, you won capitalism. Money's not even real at that point. It's a concept. Like, cap yourself at some number. I don't even really care what the number is. Cap yourself at some number where you feel good and wealthy and great, and then everything else after that, just give back to the community, give back to the country that is helping you to be rich, our infrastructure, our education. If you educate the people, if you help build up the country, if you help allow them the ability to live a life of dignity, they will not hate you and they will not try to come take all of your stuff, which is their big fear, that, oh, people are too smart or too powerful, they're going to take our stuff. There's plenty to go around. We don't want your stuff. We can have our own stuff. And everybody doesn't want to be you. Some people literally just want to work for a really good company and take care of their families and watch their kids grow up and have grandkids. Most people, I think, just want that. Other people do want to build companies and stuff like that. And maybe there is some healthy competition. But that's what America's about. It's about that competition and innovation, where companies are supposed to be competing for our attention, fighting for us to want to be customers, right? You're not supposed to just take over a whole swath of an industry and just force people into buying your products and your items. That's not American, you know? So again, this is it. I mean, you see, I'm passionate about this. I'm on fire about this. My entire life has been dedicated to public service, and I am on fire for humanity and for Americans, for this country, because I really do believe that this country, the idea of it, is a powerful idea. It's an awesome idea. And yet we move slower than other countries, but we don't have to. If we open up the education for all of us and our populace is more educated and more civically engaged, then we can get to faster debates and faster conclusions. We don't have to play all these political games. If we want to change our country a certain way, we can do that because our population is informed and engaged and passionate about the direction our country is moving in. But when you don't have that, now you're a corporation, you're trying to make all these moves, you're competing with companies that exist in governments that are authoritarian, government controlled, and they can move quickly. And you're like, oh man, America, we're dragging our feet. It's true. But we're only moving slowly because you've dumbed down the population. If you think about it, you're hurting yourself by trying to maintain your wealth, your greed. So thank you for paying attention. Thank you for feeling like you want to participate. Thank you for giving me a chance, hearing me kind of ramble on about the things that I'm passionate about. This is an introductory video just to say hello, but I can't help talking about what I'm passionate about. I can't help it, but I do need help. I need a team of people who can come in here and help me grow this thing into the national and global movement that I really do believe that it can be. Most of us are feeling this way on both sides of the aisle. These parties, this party system is complete mistake. We should not have parties. We shouldn't be gamifying our politics. Because now you're not even worried about the policies anymore that actually help you on the other side. You know, it's about my team winning. It's like a sports team now. And I don't care if I don't get a policy as long as the other side loses. And that is extremely poisonous to democracy. As you can see, this is where we are. We got to get rid of these political. People say we need more parties. We don't need more parties. We need no parties. We need Americans to vote for politicians based on their interests. And I believe things will be a lot different then. So I hope that you put in a resume. I'm looking forward to getting to know you and welcome you into this movement and my family and changing the country. So thank you.